Welcome to Finding Certainty with your host and U.S. Army veteran, Patrick Laing. Over the next hour, you'll learn from Patrick and his expert guests how to attract more certainty into your business and your life. Now, here is your host, Patrick Laing.
Welcome to Finding Certainty. It's our favorite day of the week. I look forward every week to Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, to get together here on Finding Certainty with various guests from all over the country and even around the world. I've had entrepreneurs, I've had business leaders, politicians, athletes, musicians, a wide range. I've even had a couple of family members. I had my brother on once. He's a CEO with Healthcare Compliance Pros out of Logan, Utah. And then on Father's Day last year, I had my dad on. We talked a little bit about his story and some of the experiences he's had. Today, we have a special guest as well, also a family member, my son, Anderson Laing. Thanks for being here, bud.
Yep, of course.
Well, I've been twisting his arm to try to get on here with me. He just absolutely loves public speaking and loves talking about himself. And so you're a good sport, bud. I appreciate you making time. It's kind of a special episode, if I may, because I started my show. It was either 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago when I started Finding Certainty. And I launched it on his birthday, August 12th. Obviously, same day today, and we're going to chat a little bit about some of his experiences and how they play into this topic of certainty and finding certainty in our lives. And so today is his birthday. He's actually spending part of his birthday with me here on Finding Certainty. And again, I appreciate it. It was not something he was eager to do. So.
Not necessarily, but it's all right.
All good, right? So Anderson is what's the best way to explain you, Anderson? I think of everyone in our family, he's our natural athlete. I mean, he played soccer as a kid. He scored all the goals. He played lacrosse. He was phenomenal. He played football in high school or in junior high and then leading up to high school. And at first he started, I got to tell you this little story, but at first he started as... they wanted him to be a wide receiver because he's tall like me. He's fast. He just could not catch to save his life. And even though he'd beat people to the point and get open, he just couldn't catch the way they needed him to. So his coach said, well, why don't we switch him over and put him in as on defense? Let's make him a defensive end. And he dominated. I think he sacked the quarterback 3 or 4 times in his first game, and quarterbacks feared him because he was a lot of fun to watch because he just creamed them, right? He could swim through, sack, and it was a lot of fun watching him. But then he came to me one summer just before Hell Week was going to start and the season was going to get started, and he said, Dad, he goes, I really don't love football. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm thinking about switching over to be on a dive team. I think I could actually get a scholarship as a diver. And there's scholarships out there. There's not as much competition. He goes, I don't want to get a concussion. I have no interest in playing in college football, right? And I said, it's a lot of fun watching you, but I will support you whatever you do. I mean, I was a little disappointed, I have to admit, because I really enjoyed watching him dominate on the football field. But I, of course, said, hey, whatever you want to do, go for it. We've always tried to support our kids and encourage them in pursuing their dreams. And so he did exactly that. He decided not to play football. He switched over to a community dive team. The high school didn't even have one, right?
Cool.
And that was it 2 years or 3 years later that you graduated?
So I joined my summer going into my freshman year of high school. I grew up really loving like trampolines and everything, and I got quite good at it. I went to various competitions around the Pacific coast, and I just wanted to be able to transfer that because I was really good at it.
Yeah.
It's something that I could possibly go into college for. So I found a dive club and went and tried it out, and pretty instantly became really good at it. To where I was like, yeah, if I stick with this, I could definitely go to college for it. I wasn't ever really thinking that way or planning it. Kind of happened naturally. Wasn't really planning on going to college. It was kind of a, if I can, I will. If I don't, whatever. But I got good enough, and one of my friends reached out to CSUB, and they invited him on a recruit trip, and I was like, let me reach out too. So we both went on that recruit trip, and at the end of that trip, those 2 days, I got offered, it was a small scholarship, but it was something. It's a pretty cheap school, and I was able to make it work.
And that was about 4 years ago, a little bit
Yeah,
over 4 years ago.
4.5.
He left Oregon City, Oregon, where he grew up, and went to Cal State Bakersfield and became a Division I diver. We're talking platform dive, diving board diving. Sometimes I say you're a diver and people think like a scuba diver, right?
Yeah, no, I get that a lot. Or they just mistake it with swimming, but it's two
Yeah.
very different sports.
Well, we're going to talk today a little bit about Division I sports and kind of the experience he's been through over the last 4 years. I think there's a lot of people who are working toward being a collegiate athlete and wondering about that. There's a lot of buzz around NIL and things like that these days. And we're going to talk a little bit about his experience and what he learned and his transition from he recently graduated, so now going into the workforce and deciding what to do with his life. And I've got some thoughts on that, but might get a little bit of background if roommates show up, but a little bit of background noise. But long story short, we have two athletes. We have my daughter, Brighton, was also a Division I athlete. She was a tumbler for Oregon's for University of Oregon, the Ducks. And now it's interesting though because the two stories are they parallel in ways, but they're different too. Because she had been a gymnast for years, in 6-hour days for years and years and years, and she really worked hard at it to finally become a Division I athlete. I mean, at the highest levels, right? Anderson, I think he's in forgive me if I say this or if you hear this, Brighton, but I think Anderson's more of a natural athlete. It just comes to him. It comes more easily. He's like he picked up a soccer ball and was Pele the first day, it seemed, and with diving, I mean, you heard he just decided his freshman year, hey, maybe I'll go be a diver. Right? Now, in his defense, he'd been a trampoliner for years, right? He could do double and triple flips and all this crazy twists and everything else. I was worried he's going to break his neck, but he just made a decision. That's one thing I've seen about Anderson. I think it applies in anyone who's trying to create more certainty in their lives and in their future is they make a decision and then they just go for it, right? They don't let fear hold them back. They don't let, they don't, maybe they don't have all the answers, so that they don't let analysis paralysis get in their way. They just go for it. And he has that natural talent, but he's also put in the time and the work, and most importantly, that decision, right? That dedication to make it work. And he ended up becoming one of their top divers, the captain of the team, et cetera, et cetera. It's been really fun watching him compete all over the country and so forth over the last several years. So
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was glad I did it.
yeah, we've talked a lot about this, but I don't care what you are doing, whether it's business or life or family or relationships or whatever, if that first step is making that decision to do it and stick with it. And then the second step is to put in the time and put in the effort. I always tell my salespeople, you have to get up and get out, right? Open your eyes, open your ears, open your mouth, think bigger. You've got to engage. So, question for you, Anderson, as you look back on the last 4 years, being a college athlete is not easy, right? I personally believe it's one of the hardest ways to go to school. we have our two oldest got academic scholarships. They both went to, Christian went to University of Oregon, and Madeline got a full ride scholarship to Wellesley back in Boston. But I was so proud of them, right? And they're both brilliant. I mean, Madeline's in dental school now, and Christian is working for this high-tech laser company in Oregon, and but I think that going to school on an academic scholarship is much easier than going as an athlete. You just have to keep your grades up. As an athlete, you have to keep your grades up too, but you also have to work out. You have to have practices. You travel. You have your dietitian. You have weightlifting. All these things, and team events and recruiting. And it seems to me, and I tell this to people all the time, that to be an athlete and go to college and maintain a scholarship is the hardest way to go to school, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's definitely challenging. There's a lot of ups and downs. The schedule is definitely intense. If finances are an issue, good luck working throughout college, right? The schedule is almost impossible. You can maybe tack on a little part-time job to have a little spending money, but yeah, no, 6 a.m. practices, doubles, 6 a.m. lift, practice at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. every single day. Weekends are always jam-packed. We get maybe 2 weeks off a year for Christmas and spring break. But yeah, no, it's a lot. But on the other side, there are also a lot of resources for student athletes, a lot of tutoring and just opportunities that you can get. We get early admission into classes. There's definitely benefits, but it is a lot. It's
A
definitely
lot.
a lot of work.
It's not a understatement, right? He's heard me grumble several times over the last 4 years why he can't come visit. I mean, I'm in Vegas. I'm only 3 hours away, right? But he just did not have time, right? I'd have to go see him and go stay at his place and hang out for a couple of days to see him. And he and his friends came over once for a concert and got to be here for 2 or 3 days. But the schedule for the last 4 years has been so intense. Even on Christmas break, everybody else is getting a couple weeks, and they have to be back early to start practice again, right? And just things like that. I mean, it's a huge sacrifice, and I don't think a lot of us, if we're not immersed in that, either an athlete or a parent of an athlete, we're watching college sports, we're watching football and baseball and basketball or whatever. I don't know that we truly appreciate the sacrifices and the dedication that those student athletes make to give us entertainment, right? And to have that experience. It's a lot. So my hat's off to you, bud. You and your team. I know how hard it's been, but so that being aside, there's a lot of benefits too, though, right? Let's talk about some of the benefits of being in the role you have been in the last 4 years. What would you say are maybe the top three?
100% just the team, like college, I've heard many stories just from friends that aren't athletes, people I knew back in high school that just, they struggle a bit more creating relationships and friendships and everything. But when you're on an athletic team, you kind of just hop it right into it. I have 40 people that I can call my best friends, that I can call my family, that, on a random Tuesday we can all get together and hang out. That's absolutely the best part. Definitely
Well, and you're not social at all, are you?
not at all. No,
He says
definitely
he says he
social.
doesn't he says he doesn't like public speaking, and I appreciate that. It was Jay Leno who said most people would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy, right? But Anderson's a social butterfly. He loves people, makes friends easily, and it has been a big highlight, hasn't it? Just the
Yeah,
friendships that you've made.
absolutely. I love the just I also just
Camaraderie,
love being busy, staying busy, just having stuff to do. There's never really a dull moment, being
right?
that busy.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, and not everybody likes that, but I know you thrive in it, right?
Yeah.
If you're sitting around just watching TV or something, you get bored easy.
Yeah,
So,
I love movies. I'm a digital media major. I love film and creating content and everything like that. But never like been able to sit and play video games for 4 hours, or just it might be a little bit of my ADHD, but can't really just sit and do something like that. I need to be moving around, and that definitely helped.
so to that point, I gotta make a plug for when Anderson was a baby. I mean, like 1, 2, he was the happiest baby. I mean, I don't think I ever remembered you crying unless you tripped and smacked your head on the wall or something. But he was the most smiley baby. He smiled all the time. He was just excited about life, right? And he went 100 miles an hour. Do you mind if I share your nickname? I won't if you don't want me to. But
Good.
so since he's been little, he was so fast. He's really fast. I mean, that's why they wanted him to play wide receiver, right? He beat the whole team, but he's 6 foot. I mean, I'm 6'4". You're as tall as I am now, and but he was so fast, and he was like a blur, kind of like a Tasmanian devil. I called him Speedy. Remember that little cartoon character, Speedy Gonzalez, right? Well, I call Anderson Speedy Gonzasum. And you still go by that, right? You still go by Speedy G sometimes in certain circles, or is it just with me?
Yeah, it's probably just with you, but
But it's pretty good. A pretty good explanation because he was. I adopted, or I married their mom when she was widowed with 3 kids, 4, 3, and 1. And so I have my oldest son, Christian, who I love. But Anderson was my first mini me. He was my first biological son, and he was just amazing. And he was fast, and so he was Speedy Guns, and he was awesome. So Speedy Guns, awesome. So what was? Let's moving on. I digress, but. Moving on, what was one more benefit that came out of just what you've done, just being a captain, being a diver, being a part of it?
It's definitely taught me a lot about just people, how they interact, and it's just been
Leadership, right?
yeah, definitely leadership. I've been honored to be able to be a captain for the past 2 years, and that definitely it teaches you what people how people look at you in a position of power, right? A lot of people will judge you based on your decisions more, and you kind of have to be vigilant and to what you do and what you say a lot more, and yeah, you kind of always have an eye on you in a position like that, and it's definitely harder, but it's fun.
Added pressure, right?
Cat is trying to hop up here.
It wouldn't be the first time I've had a cat walk across the screen, on my show or in the middle of my Zooms, right? Yeah, I think that can't be really overestimated, right? Or it can't be over exaggerated because, I mean, how many young people going through high school and college have the opportunity to truly develop leadership skills? I mean, we develop other talents, right? And study skills and maybe accounting or whatever it is we're studying. But leadership skills, I think those are harder to find. Maybe you got them in the Boy Scouts or on a mission or something like that. But I'm so grateful that you had that experience because it's going to benefit you the rest of your life, right? In
Yeah,
your
especially for
career
like
and
work,
everything.
managerial, just
100%.
the transfers. It should do well. I mean, it's on my resume, so it
Yeah.
should.
Yeah, I think it's really valuable. Let's talk for a minute about some of the hard things about leadership, right? You didn't always have teammates who did what they were supposed to or got along, or some were downright difficult. You actually had to remove a teammate or two, I think, over the years. How was that? What did you learn from the hard days, not just the easy ones?
Yeah, I mean, people are gonna have their opinions no matter what. it's really hard to change someone's opinion. You can change what they see and maybe a little bit of how they act, but their opinions are, it's very hard to change that. And it's just repetition, right? That's the best thing. Lead by example.
Yeah, consistency, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So much of this show, we talk about the principles that lead to certainty in our lives, right? That's what I do my monologue each month on. Almost every month on the first Wednesday, I do a monologue, and I've been going through these characteristics of certainty. I started with accountability, balance, composure. I think the last one I did was T for, what was it? T for triumph. How do you triumph over things and overcome obstacles, right? I'm curious, what is a lesson that you've learned, especially in the last 4 years, for how to overcome hard things, hard people, hard trials. Maybe it's I know your knees really hurt from being in diving.
I think
Yesterday you have the knees of an 80-year-old, right?
I think the most beneficial thing is just to surround yourself with other people that, one, either share the same experience, or two, can like help add or
Lift you up, right?
yeah, exactly, right? If you're struggling with mental health issues, right? Just being around friends, family, whatever, that can help. If I'm struggling keeping the team together, I'll confide in my coach, confide in another captain or someone else, and just never being alone in that, right? Once you're alone in those situations and you don't really know what to do, it builds and it builds. But if you have someone else who you can work with, definitely helps a lot.
I totally agree. That principle, it really applies in everything we do, right? I mean, I'm a CEO. I own multiple companies. We have a lot going on, and if I had to do it all by myself, it would be overwhelming, right? I have great partners, and I've surrounded myself with people that are better than me in ways at what they do, right? They say you should build your tribe and don't look for people that are weaker than you so you can be their leader. Find people who are stronger than you and better than you at
Yeah.
what they do, because they'll lift you up. The rising tide raises all boats, as they say, right? Anderson and I were just talking about this yesterday. We're talking about what he wants to do with his life, and he's currently looking for employment, and we've talked about maybe starting a business. And I was saying I would love to mentor him in starting his own gig eventually. But what did I say? Do you remember what I said about shortcuts? Does that ring a bell?
Briefly, maybe.
We'll see how
No.
well he was listening. No, the what I was talking about is how the fastest way to a destination, building a business, building a relationship, becoming a better athlete, whatever, is to learn from others' mistakes, right? Be mentored. That's why we have coaches, right? That's why we have captains on a team, and why we have counselors and other things, because people who have trod that path before us and have experience can help teach us from their own experience and their own mistakes, so we don't have to make the same ones, right? I don't have to go bankrupt to learn from somebody who's been through bankruptcy, right? I can learn and hopefully avoid making the same mistakes they make and do it better and faster, maybe even bigger, right? And so it's so important. I'm really glad you talk about surrounding yourself with good people, because it is absolutely a principle of certainty, 100% a principle of success in life. And like I said, you want to do it faster, you want to do it better, and maybe even bigger. You gotta ask for help. Too often, isolation leads to problems. Let's talk a little bit about mental health, because I know it's a challenge out there, right? A lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry. What's the economy going to do? Is Iran going to, cybersecurity attack us, and, we're on our water, or, whatever, right? how have you dealt with mental health in your own life, or helped your team members to be more healthy, mental health wise?
It's really the same thing as just surrounding yourself with people. Loneliness is and isolation is the biggest issue. It's a killer, right? Like if you surround yourself with loved ones and just you got to be open about it, right? The 99.9% of the people you surround yourself are open to having a conversation with you about anything, right?
Yeah.
And if they aren't, then that's not someone that you should be surrounding yourself with. It's like the saying, you become an amalgamation of everyone you surround yourself with. I'm 10% you. I'm 10% my best friends, my roommates, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You gather a lot from everyone. And if you, it's just having people around you. It's also staying fit, right? Being healthy. That helps with your mental health and your physical health greatly. Just doing something, finding something that you can put your time and energy towards. If it's a hobby, if it is working out, if it's, I refelted my pool table yesterday. It took me 9 hours. My back hurting like crazy, yes, but it was fun, right? You got to find something that you can put your mental and physical energy towards, and it will not necessarily distract you from your issues, but it mitigates them fully, 100%.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. I think there's kind of three pieces to it, right? You have to fill your life with people who raise you up. They say you become the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with,
Yeah.
right? And if you look around, you're like, I don't really like what he's making, how he acts, and how he treats his wife, or vice versa, or whatever. It's probably not who you want to spend your time with. And so you're constantly, it doesn't mean you have to abandon friends, but make sure you're spending more of your time with people who are higher levels than you, mentors and influencers and coaches and friends who are really that you really admire, right? I was told a promise once that I could, if I did certain things in my life, I would build a life that others would want to pattern their lives after. I mean, that's a great goal, right? And yet I see friends and people I look to and I think I want to pattern my life after them. That's who I want to be. That's the kind of husband I want to be. That's the kind of father, kind of business leader, right? So that's the first thing, right? Fill your life with people who lift you up. The second is what I think you were talking about, is to fill your life with activity, right? With whether it's exercise, hobbies, interests, whether it's relationships, dating, et cetera, et cetera. But fill your life. I love that old movie, The Dead Poets Society. And he talked about sucking the marrow out of life, right? It's Paul, what's his name?
He just passed away.
Who's the actor? Robbins. It'll come to me.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. That's it.
I just rewatched that movie recently.
It's a great movie. So that's the second piece, right? And I personally, I was an athlete. I played soccer and basketball and volleyball and so forth. Never at the level Anderson and Brighton were, but I did play for the Army. I did enjoy it, but I've never been one who really enjoyed working out. Right? I don't go to the gym and lift. I don't like running. If I'm going to run, I want to be kicking a basketball or kicking a soccer ball or dribbling a basketball. But recently, last October, my wife and I took a cruise. We went to the South Pacific on a cruise, and I played pickleball every day on that cruise. Got to be some friends with some people at our table, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I came home and joined a club, and now I did injure my knee a month ago, so I've been off for a little while. But I've missed playing because it's something that's fun, right? It's something that I enjoy. It doesn't feel like exercise. I'm motivated to get up and go play. And so I'll get up at 5 in the morning, be out the door by 5:30, 5:45, and over to the gym by 6. And I walk over there and play and then walk back. So I get a little bit of walking in too. But for me, it's really been something I'm enjoying because one, I doesn't feel like exercise, but I sweat the whole time, right? So I'm getting some exercise. And two, I feel like I'm getting better at something. I can see my skill improving. It's pretty technical. It's more kind of more. There's more geometry and math and stuff that goes on in pickleball than you realize. And then three, it's social, right? I'm building friends. Like I see the same people every morning, and they're all older than me because they're all retired. But I'm still building these friendships, and it's nice to see them and just check in. And so, I think that's the benefits that come out of that. One is just feeling like you're accomplishing something. Two, feeling like you're improving at things. And three, just that social aspect, which kind of leads into the first one too.
Yeah, no, that was the exact same with diving. I've never really loved working out. I'll do it just to strengthen myself rather than just stay in shape, build muscle. But no, with diving, the social aspect is 100% there. Yeah, it's an individual sport, but you're surrounded by teammates that are all achieving or wanting to achieve the exact same goal that you are. And it's fun, right? I'm learning, getting better, and just improving all throughout it. Definitely has those three same aspects.
Yeah. I think it's a principle, talking about certainty principles, right? It's a principle of success is to try to find things that add that aspect to it, growth and progress and activity and friendship, social, but find things that are fun, right? There's no rule that says working out has to be a drudgery or work even has to be a drudgery. They say if you love what you do, it doesn't even feel like you're working, right? So it's an advice. We're going to talk in the second half of this call a little bit about careers and job searching and so forth, since Anderson's right in the middle of that. But anyway, the third principle, though, I believe, filling your life with people, filling your life with activity, I think you also have to fill your life with knowledge, right? I think it's really important. You may, whether you're a reader or you prefer to listen to books on tape or podcasts or whatever, I think it's really important that we continue learning and growing and expanding in whatever we're doing. I try to read a book every week, right? I listen to a couple of different podcasts often, right? Just read a really great book called Tribe of Millionaires that talks about these principles. It is phenomenal. I highly recommend it. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Anderson? Just on filling your brain, right?
Yeah,
Not just your social life and your activities, but filling your brain, filling who you are.
yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be just learning. I mean, for the younger generation, I can speak. A lot of us don't love reading. Obviously, some people still love reading and everything, but it could be a movie. It could be YouTube videos. I sit every single day before I go to bed and I'll watch a hour and a half video of some sort of construction or just someone making things. And I'm very interested in like woodworking and everything like that. Definitely more as a hobby. But if you're getting information and just filling your brain with new stuff, it kind of hides the other stuff, right? If it is.
And knowledge, right? Not just social media BS, not just
Yeah, if you're
noise,
just
right?
doom
But
scrolling and just filling your brain with slop, you start turning into slop, right?
right,
It just turns into mush.
right,
Like try and actually ingest what you're watching. If like
right.
think about it, right? Don't just watch it mindlessly. Don't read mindlessly. If I'm watching a movie, I'm not solely watching it for the entertainment. Yeah, it's entertaining, obviously, but you're also watching it to learn things and to pick up little details and whatnot.
Well, and especially in your college career, right? I bet it's changed how you watch movies
Insanely.
significantly, right?
Yeah.
because you want to work in the film industry potentially. You've talked about that, and that's what you've studied over the last several years. You even just made a movie, right, for your senior project, horror movie, right?
Yeah, a little horror movie, a little horror film.
I think it's up for an Oscars this next year. I'm pretty sure.
That'd be nice.
It's good.
Yeah, no, watching movies and films, once you learn, it's same thing with anything. Once you learn enough about it, you can't, like, you're always inspecting it and trying to pick out little details and everything.
Yeah.
Like, if you're, you know a lot about business, right? I bet you walk down the street or you're driving, you see a billboard and you're like, that just doesn't, like, that marketing looks horrible, right?
Right.
Or that looks really good. Maybe I want to pick a little something from that and implement it in my own life and my own business.
Yeah, it's so true. I remember a class I took. I only took one, I think, but it was like a film history class or something like that in college. This is 40 years ago, right? I still think of that class every time I watch a movie and like the camera pans out and the person looks really small and I'm like, that means it's trying to say he's insignificant or that's how he's feeling or overwhelmed or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? I totally remember that. It's pretty funny. I hadn't thought about that for a while, but anyway, it's good. But we are going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the next phase in Anderson's life. And I think there's a lot of you out there who are considering new careers, new businesses, new relationships. How can we do that and have even more certainty while we do so? So don't go away. You're listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Laing, and today with Anderson Laing. You get kind of a double dip. So we'll be right back.
Certainty Management can help create more certainty in your life with our deep discount health insurance options, even for 1099s, part-time employees, volunteers, and more. Pay less to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your team. Call 888-684-3122 for a free quote today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, T-E-A-M, like Mary.com.
If you're a nonprofit in need of funding, we can help. Certainty Management is a cost reduction firm that also helps churches, schools, sports teams, and other nonprofits raise unlimited zero-cost funding. Best of all, you don't have to sell anything or ask for donations. Call 888-684-3122 to learn more today. That's 888-684-3122. Visit us on the web at CertaintyTeam.com. That's Certainty, T-E-A-M, like Mary.com.
You are listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Laing.
We're back. Thanks for waiting on us and not going away. We appreciate you spending some of your Wednesday morning with us. Interviewing my son, Anderson Tate Laing, today. He just recently graduated from Cal State Bakersfield. He was a Division I diver for Cal State for the last 4 years and team captain for the last 2. I mentioned his sister, Brighton, who was a tumbler gymnast, as it were, for Oregon, University of Oregon. I always catch myself. I always want to say Oregon State, but the University of Oregon up in Eugene. And, she worked really hard to become a Division I gymnast, a tumbler. Anderson worked really hard, but not as hard to become a diver, right? Not as long for sure. It was more of a short-term decision, but regardless, I look at athletes, I look at veterans who are coming out of the military, professional athletes leaving maybe the league or or whatever. I remember I was on a flight from Denver to Vegas earlier this year, and I sat next to a guy who he now owns a marketing firm, but he was a NFL football player. And I was talking as a veteran, he was talking as a former professional athlete, and we were talking about how challenging it is to transition and create a whole new identity. He said, I had been playing football for 30 years. I mean, since I was a little Pop Warner, little league football player, 5, 6 years old, to when I finished playing with the league, and suddenly it was done, right? And a lot of athletes struggle with that. Same thing with veterans coming out of a military career for 20, 30 years, and suddenly they have to start over, right? And so, is that something you think about, Anderson? I mean, you've been an athlete for, 20 years, right? And
Yeah.
now you're suddenly not, at least not playing full time, right? You're not competing. You're not having to work out every day. So how do you kind of move into the next phase?
I mean, I'm still in that transition period. It's definitely a big jump. Yeah, no, I've been so used to it for the longest time, and now just trying to alter my
Alter
head
course, right?
into what I'm going to do further. If I were able to stay in some sort of the sport world, coaching, whatever it is, that would be great. But I'd
Mhm.
also be completely content being done. Um, I mean, it's been a lot of fun, but again, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's relaxing that it is over. I don't have the stress of, oh, I have to be up at 6 a.m. for practice, but now
Right.
it's gonna be I have to be up at 6 a.m. for work, and just excited to find some career that hopefully gives me the same amount of drive that I had with the athletics.
Right. So much of success in life, whether it's in a college career, athletics, a relationship, or a job, right? Your career, so much of it, I think, comes down to mindset. It comes down to choosing how you want to approach it and how you want to view it. I mean, the old half glass full, half glass empty adage, right? I think there's different principles, definitely certainty principles, like I was saying, accountability and balance and composure and discipline and endurance. I mean, these principles I've been talking about for the last couple of years. And I know you're not alone because you've got roommates and teammates and others that are going through this at the same time. So that's helpful. But you also have friends who they graduated a year ago or they're not graduating until next year. And so you're kind of stuck in between those two.
Hmm.
And it's a lot. I mean, Anderson, you graduated a couple months ago. He's been finding a new place to live, and I gotta say this. Shout out to my son. I mean, he is the guy who takes ownership. Talking about accountability, he takes ownership of things. He's the one who went and researched and found the next place for them to live, worked with the landlords. He cleaned the whole house, cleaned the pool. You just heard him say he was refelting their pool table yesterday. I mean, that's one thing I've always loved about you. And I know part of it's ADHD and you don't want to sit and be bored, but it's also accountability. It's also a responsibility that you have. We've even grumbled about it where, you're like, man, nobody else wants to do anything, right? But I think it's a really admirable quality, and it's a really valuable characteristic, which will serve you well whatever you do. That's why you did well in school and well in sports, and I think you'll do well in your career, whatever that is, because you don't allow yourself to become a victim, right? And just wait for someone else to do it. You just get up and go. So, do you find that that's hard for a lot of people?
Yeah, absolutely. Just even roommates and whatnot. Not necessarily that they don't help out and they don't clean or whatever. I can definitely just tell the difference, right? Like the day we moved in, I wanted to start unpacking and getting everything set up.
They
Versus
wanted to sit around and watch TV.
they're like, "Oh, I'm tired. That move sucked. relax for a couple of days before we get going, and
Yeah.
have the house done by then, you know.
So why do you think it's so apparent in you and others? I know others who are the same, but why do you think that comes from? Somebody wants to be more like that, or they want their kids maybe to be more like that, or employees to be more accountable and proactive.
I
Where do
mean,
you think it comes
I was
from?
definitely raised the way that like there isn't, I mean, free time. I don't know. Like I always grew up with chores and whatnot and little projects. Um,
I mean, personally, if I can just say something, Ed, I think it was largely because your mom would kick your butt if you didn't do it. No, but I mean,
a little bit, no,
Anderson's
100%.
mom is
Like
a strong woman. She would crack the whip, right? If they didn't do their chores, if they weren't responsible, if they weren't those things, she didn't go for that. And I think I was on the other end, and I kind of inspired you to think bigger, right? To do more and become who you could be. I mean that. So you have the two. He definitely had the two ends of the spectrum, kind of the carrot and the stick. But I don't know. Anything else you were saying? I cut you off, but
yeah, no, I definitely um, grew up in a spot where like in those pinnacle years, like middle school and high school, where things needed to be done, things need to be fixed. There was always a project, right? There was always
yeah,
working up the garden, clean up the backyard, and like mow the lawn.
refinish the kitchen, right?
Yeah, redo the floors in the kitchen, and it at first it definitely felt like a chore, right? It felt like something where I didn't necessarily want to do, but I had to do it just to help out. But it grew into something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy setting stuff up. I enjoy building things. I enjoy creating, right? I've always been a very, very creative person, very creative kid. I would build
Yep.
anything and everything out of paper, out of whatever, right? Whatever I could get my hands on. And I've always enjoyed the having a project, right? And when I
Yeah.
don't have a project, I
You got to go find one.
gotta go find one instance. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I just finished that pool table. Now I'm trying to think of what else I can do around here.
What can I do next?
Exactly.
See, that's funny because I'm the same way, and I think it's one reason I'm an entrepreneur because if I get bored, I'll go start another company, right? Go launch a new product, go do a division, different ad campaign, a new website. I mean, there's always something to do, and there's never an end. I mean, I keep telling myself once I get these projects done, I can relax. But knowing me, I'll probably just create another project, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and so I think you and I are definitely similar in that way. I think that it's important. I think anyone who's out there listening, who maybe leans on the less creative side or the more lazy side or whatever, to understand how fulfilling it is, right? Hard work, for example, feels good. You are exhausted at the end, but you feel like accomplished. You feel like you made a contribution. You feel like you grew. I mean, it's hard to explain, and I think there are people out there who don't really get that, right? They want to hand out, or they're waiting for someone else to do it, and they're missing out on such a unique opportunity to to experience all those benefits, right? The growth and the joy and this fulfillment and the service and the satisfaction. What are your thoughts on that, Anderson? Any input?
Yeah, no, I mean, once you complete something, there's definitely that big feeling of satisfaction, right? Sometimes I struggle personally with never feeling satisfied though, right? Like even
Yeah.
after completing something, it's like, is that enough, right? Could I have done better? Could I have taken my time with it more? A little bit of OCD, right?
Sorry about
But
that.
it, but no, so there's a beauty in patience with things like that, with building
Yeah.
a company, with creating whatever it is, right?
With people, with others who are different, right? And
Yeah, if you're more patient, you definitely that sense of accomplishment is larger. Um, all right, like I've always said, the like you don't see someone for a while, you end up missing them more and more. Once you see them, it feels better, right? Versus
yeah,
just seeing someone every single day, right? You appreciate it more.
right.
So there is a beauty in being more patient with things, but you still gotta you gotta do it, right?
I think it's an important insight. Especially we have to be patient with others, right? We're all different, right? We all have different strengths and different needs and desires and goals and everything. And it's one thing I've had to learn as a CEO, as a father, as a husband, as a leader in the church, et cetera, et cetera. I had to come to the point where I realized we're not all going to do things the same way, right? And I'm probably going to do something faster than the next guy, but they're probably going to do it better than I would, or you know. And so it's forced me to kind of mature, I guess, and slow down and become more patient and extend a little bit of grace to others more than
Yeah,
I did when I was growing up, more than I did even a year ago or 2 years ago. I've tried to continue to get better at that.
yeah,
One of my
that's something I've started to learn a lot and try to implement more. It's just like people are different. Everyone does everything differently,
Yeah.
and really at the end of the day, you aren't going to change it. You aren't going to change how they do or what they do. So you kind of just have to
Yep.
sit back and be like, so it's all right. It's okay. I don't really care. So you care, but you don't have to care like that, you know?
Right. Just don't let people ruin your day just because
Yeah.
they think different. It's okay. It's okay to agree to disagree. And I've been working on a little project. I'm working on 3 different books right now. The next version of our AI Power book, it's called Empower AI. I'm writing a book called Welcome to the Family that kind of helps people transition into a company or into a church or into a whatever. And then I have this new idea. I just started this. It's about Christ as the master leader, right? He was the perfect example of how to do exactly what we're talking about, right? How to extend grace, how to be patient, how to lead by example, right? And one of the greatest questions we can ask in being accountable and being a good leader is to continue to ask, what more can I do, right? What else can I do? And a lot of the time, that's what can I do to help, right? Or maybe I need to just bite my lip and not say anything this right now, right? Or whatever. So we are. I told you this would go by fast, Anderson. I mean, we're almost out of time here, but as you look forward to your career, anyone out there who needs a rock star working for them, he's looking for work right now. Got amazing graphic and videography background and skills, construction skills, people skills. He's got a lot going on for him, but it's a tight market right now, and so you're looking, and I know we're working on some options, but I tell him I'd love him to come work with me, and I'd love to help him start his own thing. But as you look at what's coming the next few years, what's your biggest goal? If you had to say just off the top of your mind.
Like 5 years out,
Yeah.
3 years out. I just want to own a home, property.
Yeah.
Yeah, if by the time I'm 26, 28, I would love to own a home, settle.
Probably in Oregon, right?
Yeah, definitely back in Oregon.
Yeah, all my kids live in Oregon now, except, well, Anderson will, and then our daughter, Madeline, will probably end up back there as well after dental school. But yeah, I think that's a good goal, right? Own your own house and have some land. And I personally think you should own your own business. That's my thought. We've talked about that, but If there's one thing you would share with our audience before you leave, an insight, a lesson you've learned, advice, what would it be? It's off the top of your head.
Just you're gonna figure out a way to make it work, right? Like, pick something to do in your life that you enjoy, that brings you happiness, that makes you feel satisfied, and you're gonna find a way to make it work out. I didn't know going into college exactly how I was gonna pay for it, or how diving would work out for me, or if I was gonna even be good enough. I didn't know if staying here for another year was gonna work out, or if it'd be easier to just move back to Oregon and live with my siblings, or go do something along those lines. But if you care about it enough, and it is important enough to you, you're gonna figure out a way to make it work for you. That can be implemented with anyone, right? Relationships, business, personal experience. Figure out, or stick with what you enjoy, and you'll figure it out.
Well, like we said, just dive in, right? Don't wait. I always tell people the biggest regret I have with my business is I didn't start it 10 years earlier, right? Anderson went to college. He didn't know how he was going to pay for it, didn't know if it was going to work, but he just stepped into the dark, right? He just did it. And it was a great experience, right? Doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. Doesn't mean everything goes perfect. Business is hard. Relationships are hard. They take work.
I think
Right.
people overplan things, right?
Yep. Analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah, live life just one step at a time. I don't understand how some people can't do something with until it's 100% planned out. Right? Like, just do it.
100%. I've, as I've watched you throughout your life, and I'll just end with this, I've watched you just do more and get more done than most people do or even think about doing, right? And some of my favorite memories were of us building things, right? Building a go-kart in the garage and building the little clubhouse next to your trampoline. They had a big platform so you could jump off and do your flips, and just building stuff, right? Sucking the marrow out of that, out of life, and making the most, even with divorce in the middle of it, even with not being able to see each other as much, even with challenges and financial struggles, whatever, right? You've just done such a great job of sucking the marrow out of it, jumping in, not asking how it was going to work, just saying, and not even asking why, just saying why not, right? And I love that. I think it's an absolute principle of creating more certainty and more success in our lives. You're just a great example of that, bud. So,
Thank you.
well, thanks for being on the show. I know you weren't so sure about it, but I hope it was okay. And I'm very proud of you. You're doing good things with your life, and happy birthday. I think it's kind of cool. We started this 3 years ago on your birthday, and today is your birthday number 23. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Love you, bud.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Finding Certainty. We hope you've gained some more insight into how to create more certainty in your own business or nonprofit. Join us next week for another taste of the Certainty Experience. Until then, we wish you greater certainty in all that you do.